Sometimes the most dangerous yes is the one you whisper to save yourself. You don't even notice when it happens anymore. Someone asks for something, your chest tightens for a split second, and before your mind even catches up, you've already said, "Sure, no problem." You hear your own voice and wonder, why did I just agree to that? I'm exhausted. I don't want this. But you smile anyway, because it feels safer that way, doesn't it? Safer to please. Safer to avoid the tension. Safer to keep the peace. Safer not to be the reason someone else gets upset. And that's where our story begins. In the quiet space where fear dresses itself up as kindness. Today, you're going to learn something that could change the entire way you understand yourself. The difference between being a people pleaser and having a fawn response. By the end of this video, you'll know how to recognize the signs in your own body, understand the neuroscience behind the habit, and begin reclaiming the parts of you that learned long ago that love must be earned. Imagine this. It's late evening, the kind of night where silence feels heavy. You're sitting at a dimly lit desk, scrolling through unread messages you've avoided all day. On the screen, a simple text. "Hey, can you help me with something soon?" It's harmless, ordinary even, but something in your shifts. Your shoulders tense. Your breath shortens. Your mind jumps ahead to the reply you know you're supposed to give. Course, need time. But tonight something stops you. Because earlier that morning, you had promised yourself you'd take time to rest. You'd even made tea, sat by the window, and told your reflection, "I'm done doing things out of fear." Yet here you are again, fingers hovering over the keyboard, ready to abandon yourself. And for the first time you wonder, are these people pleasing? Or is something deeper happening inside me? Something older? Something wired into my nervous system? Here's where the psychology comes in. The part of the story where we gently turn the emotional scene into understanding. Most people know about fight, flight, and freeze. But there's a fourth trauma response many don't realize they're living in every day. Fawning. The fawn response is a nervous system strategy, a survival instinct. It's not politeness. It's not kindness. It's not generosity. It's the fear-driven instinct to appease a perceived threat by becoming pleasing, compliant, and excessively accommodating. When people pleasantly say, "I want you to like me," the fawn response says, "I need you to be okay so I can be safe." And the body learns this early, often in childhood. Maybe your home was unpredictable. Maybe anger felt dangerous. Maybe conflict meant emotional withdrawal. Maybe the adults around you were overwhelmed or critical, or hard to soothe. So your young brain crafted the strategy that kept you alive. Stay agreeable, keep everyone calm, and dim yourself to avoid being a burden. Neuroscience tells us that chronic fawning is linked with heightened amygdala activity, the part of the brain that monitors threat, and decreased activation in the prefrontal cortex, which helps with self-boundaries, decision-making, and emotional regulation. In other words, your yes isn't a choice. It's a reflex, a nervous system shortcut, a leftover survival strategy that never updated to match your adult life. So you keep shrinking, you keep smoothing things over, you keep loving in ways that cost you everything but reward you nothing. And this is where the emotional insight deepens, where story and psychology merge into understanding. Think back to the evening scene, you at the desk, the message waiting. What if we slow it down? There you are, staring at the screen, feeling that familiar pressure rise in your chest. But instead of automatically replying, you stop. For the first time in years, you actually pause. You place your hand over your heart, not dramatically but gently, and notice the subtle tremor of your breath. And here comes the moment that matters. You ask yourself, am I saying yes because I want to, or because I'm afraid not to? The question unsettles you. It feels like someone turned on a light in a room you've lived in for years but never really looked at. You realize something. Your whole life you've been mistaking compliance for compassion. You've been mistaking silence for peace. You've been mistaking the suppression of your needs for emotional maturity. But here's the truth. Real kindness doesn't require self-erasure. And real safety doesn't come from making yourself small. Your nervous system isn't wrong, it's just outdated. It learned to protect you long before you had the tools to protect yourself. And that's the awakening moment. Not dramatic, not loud, but quietly life-changing. You finally see that your exhaustion isn't laziness. It's the crash that happens when you've been emotionally overextending for years. Your anxiety isn't sensitivity gone wrong. It's your body whispering, "I'm tired of performing safety." Your resentment isn't something to feel guilty about. It's proof that your boundaries have been violated. Sometimes by others, often by yourself. And suddenly, you understand why you're always drained. Why do you avoid conflict? Why are you so sensitive to tone, facial expressions, or disappointment? Why do you apologize even when you haven't done anything wrong? Why love has always felt like a test you have to pass? All of this is the fawn response in action. Now comes the resolution, the gentle landing after the emotional storm. You finally type your reply. Not the usual one. Not the reflexive yes. Something simpler. Something honest. Something that feels small but is actually enormous. "I can't tonight, but I hope your project goes well. Maybe another time." You hit send. Your heart pounds. Your stomach tightens. Your nervous system still thinks you've done something dangerous. But nothing explodes. No one abandons you. The world doesn't collapse. And slowly, you realize you've done something revolutionary. You've chosen yourself without betraying anyone else. Healing the fawn response doesn't mean becoming harsh, cold, or unkind. It means learning security from the inside out, regulating your nervous system, naming your needs, tolerating the discomfort of disappointing others, and relearning that no is not a crime. It means letting your voice return to you, even if it shakes. So here's your gentle call to action. If anything in this story feels familiar, stay curious about it. Follow the cues your body gave you. Rewatch the sections that hit home. And if you're ready to keep understanding the psychology behind your patterns, the real neuroscience behind why you think, feel, and react the way you do, stay with this channel because your healing deserves science, compassion, and clarity. And remember, the safest version of you is the one who no longer needs to disappear to be loved.